time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day to join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. It's a Tuesday edition, and man, we are spread out all over the state of South Carolina for you tonight to bring you everything that is going on. Phil Kornblut here on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour tonight from Coastal Carolina University. We are inside the Hall of Fame here at Coastal Carolina, inside their field house, looking out at James C. Benton Field at Brooks Stadium, which in another year or so will look entirely different as they continue to hammer away on the new side, or the addition on one side of the stadium, that will raise capacity here to over 22,000 as this program continues to grow by leaps and bounds in the Sun Belt Conference. Joe Moglia, the head coach who missed last year for health reasons, is back and healthy and with his football team, and of course hoping for better things this year. Though it was a team last year, the record was not pretty, but they had about 6 very close losses last season. Had they won 3 or 4 of those, the record would have looked entirely different. But they're all about the future, and we'll visit with the coach and a couple of players coming up here later on in the program. We have the Professor Tom Hayes back at our studios in downtown Columbia, and up at Clemson, Will Pelagic has been with the Tigers this afternoon. There was a media avail for them as they went through their last practice of camp. Now they head into their season routine of practices and classes and things of that nature, and Will had a chance to talk with some Tiger players today. We'll hear from them coming up tonight. Our phone number, 800-956-7266. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com, and on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. So we have got Coastal for you tonight. We've got South Carolina as well, though there is no media avail with the Gamecocks this week. We do have some closeted interviews we have put away to the side for this kind of situation, and we'll hear from I believe A.J. Turner of the Gamecocks tonight. And as far as the Tigers, Will, who do you have for us tonight?
We'll talk today, Corn, with Kelly Bryant, the starting quarterback, at least for now. And, of course, the wide receiver, Hunter Renfrow. There's still a lot of anticipation, still a lot of uncertainty of how Clemson's going to handle that quarterback position, because of the fact that there's obviously still no starter named and no depth set from Dabo Swinney. And one of the things, too, just in talking not only with the various people who cover Clemson up here, there really hasn't been as much of a close-to-the-vest attitude from Dabo Swinney here in a long time. I think that he wants to be very, very careful with the way he sets the tone for the Furman game, and also the way that he sets the tone for the rest of this season, because as we've talked about over the course of this season, the depth that they set for this game is not going to be the same, I think, that they set for the upcoming season.
Yeah, we'll have to see how things unfold as they move through the first couple of weeks of the season. I think everybody is really looking at that Texas A&M game out at College Station as being the litmus test for the Tigers pro, and seeing how Kelly Bryant does. And then I think we'll see in that game what the coaches really do have in mind with their quarterback situation. They talk about playing all 3 against Furman. That's understandable. But when you get out on the road in the SEC at a place like Texas A&M, I don't think you'll be seeing all 3. And if Kelly Bryant goes out in the starter's role in that one and is playing well and moving the team and they are scoring, why would you force your hand and force the freshman in there just for the sake of throwing him in there?
Yeah, that would be a tough call. I do believe, though, that if Clemson looks like they're moving the ball well at Texas A&M and their defense is salty as per usual, you may see, Dabo just can't resist and just put him in for a couple of plays to see what he can do. But you're right. When a quarterback has a rhythm going, it's always a gamble to pull him. But this is a Texas A&M team that really will still be adjusting to a new coaching staff. And everybody talks about the 100,000+ there. Clemson's been in those kind of crowds before. That's not going to affect them at all.
Yeah. Guys, we'd like to talk about the Gamecocks and things going on with them this week. But, they've gone behind the garnet curtain, and there's just nothing. There's no practice reports. There are no rumors. There's no innuendo. There's nothing floating around out there about the Gamecock football team. We don't know if anybody's gotten hurt. We don't know if there have been any position moves or depth chart alterations or anything like that. We're totally in the dark right now.
It's weird. I would say it's very weird just because of the fact that we're looking at a situation where it looked like we were going to get some time with them on Monday and Tuesday, but because of the Beyonce and Jay-Z concert, they've kind of curtailed some of their practice schedules. They didn't get a chance to be in the stadium like they originally planned on Saturday, so that obviously changed some things. And I'm not trying to say anything nefarious, but they've certainly used this concert to distance themselves from the rest of the media and folks who choose to try and cover them on a daily basis.
Well, the rumor I heard is that the running backs have been forced to watch Beyonce to see if they can learn some moves from her.
Well, it's
That's
not
good.
like they don't have the room and the space over at the indoor practice facility or out on the practice fields to host the media to do interviews if they wanted to. I mean, I think that the fact that they aren't over at their stadium and there's a big concert there tonight, I don't think that's an excuse. I mean, do you recall, did they have media sessions scheduled for yesterday and today prior to the concert?
They did. They basically had it, the two coaches that we ended up getting on Thursday and Friday, or at least Wednesday and Thursday of last week, they originally had those guys on Monday and Tuesday, so they doubled up on the coaches for the last 2 days of practice last week, the last few viewable days. And so we were supposed to have them on Monday and Tuesday afternoon, but that all got condensed because of what happened this week.
Yeah, let's keep in mind, and the traffic over there is going to be a mess. It would be a mess even in the morning if they were practicing this morning. I'm sure they were going to have media. I mean, they had George Rogers Boulevard, I believe, is closed, and maybe they are doing us all a favor by saying, hey, take a couple of days. But this is not just a couple of days. In actuality, we're talking about nothing from Muschamp from this past Saturday until Thursday when he speaks at the Touchdown Club in Columbia, and then I think he does his first weekly radio show. That'll be the first time that the public hears from him since Saturday. And then, of course, there are no assistant coaches and no players available until – with no more assistant coaches. I think we're done with them, and no players until after practice on Tuesday of next week. So we'll just have to guess about what the Gamecocks are doing over practice. I guess that they are throwing and catching and hitting and working on special teams and things of that nature. Let me pass along a couple of quick notes. The AP preseason All-American team came out today, and 4 Clemson players and 1 Gamecock are on it. The Tigers on the first team, offensive tackle Mitch Hyatt, defensive ends Cleveland Farrell and Christian Wilkins. The Gamecock on the teams on the second team, and that's Debo Samuel as the all-purpose player. And on defense, Clemson's Dexter Lawrence was named to the second team. One other note, Kalijah Brown, the former Shrine Bowl defensive lineman from Saluda, who signed with Wake Forest back in January or in December and enrolled early but left school early in camp, like a day or two into camp. He has headed to Newberry College. He was on campus today, according to a source, and taking care of his paperwork, and he'll be eligible to play right away for the Wolves. So that's a big pickup for Todd Knight and Newberry, getting a big Shrine Bowl defensive lineman into their program. So that's a nice move for them. All right, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Lines are open for you to join in on the program to talk about the Gamecocks, the Tigers, the Chanticleers, or any of the other teams that we have checked on to this point. This is stop number 8 of the Palmetto Pigskin Tour. After being in North Greenville last night, we've gone from the west to the east, and I tell you, they're both equally beautiful here in our state. Though I will say the traffic down here at the beach has gotten a little bit out of hand. Somebody needs to do something about it. Maybe Coach Mobley will take a couple of his billions and build a special interstate that will fly over all this and get you directly to the beach. That'd be fine with me. All right, we'll be back from here, Clemson and Columbia on Sports Talk.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network, as we come to you from all across the state of South Carolina. I know, Corn, this might be the furthest apart that you and I have broadcast from each other and still been in the state of South Carolina.
Well, okay, if you keep up with those kind of things, I'll take your word for it.
I have to tell you, I wasn't at the spring game, so I didn't get to see Trevor Lawrence in person. First time seeing him in person, I have to admit, he's an impressive-looking individual. He is impressive.
He's tall. He's got a big frame on him. I only saw him in the spring game, so and afterwards, I think maybe if I saw him down in the locker room area or whatever. But yeah, he's physically a very impressive guy, and with a big arm. He's got all those tools. I mean, the thing for him, guys, will be how quickly he is picking things up. And I mean, okay, he's picking things up in camp and he's picking up what the Tigers are doing on defense. But when he gets into these other games where coordinators, if he emerges as the guy, I mean, they're going to be mixing up their defenses with blitzes and different coverages. Just how well prepared can he be so quickly in his career to handle all that? I mean, we've seen quarterbacks who became really, really good quarterbacks and went on to very good NFL careers struggle when forced to play as true freshmen. Who's the guy pro with the Lions? Was it Georgia? Got the big arm as well. Detroit Lions starting quarterback.
Kid from Texas.
Yeah.
Whose name escapes me.
Yeah. I think he threw like 20 interceptions his freshman year at Georgia.
He
threw
did.
a bunch of picks. I mean, that's understandable. You got to give a new guy a little bit of a break when it comes to that. But Clemson's not really in a position to play around like that when you're looking at the high stakes that they expect to be playing for. Will they can ill afford to go into a science lab out there with a freshman quarterback if he's not totally prepared for it.
I will agree that Kelly is probably the best option right now, and he's the safest option right now. But watching them both throw, and again, we only got to see him against Ayers. We didn't get to see him against actual coverages and things of that nature. But Trevor Lawrence throws a pretty ball. I mean, there was one today where he basically threw one, led T. Higgins about 50 yards down the field, and T. Higgins caught it in full stride. And it was the tightest spiral you could possibly throw. I'm telling you, this kid is going to be something when he at least gets his opportunity. He is everything is advertised from the standpoint of where he sits. But obviously, when you think about the experience factor with Kelly Bryant, you at least have to think of that in his perspective. I like him at least better from that perspective.
You know, Pro, the way he sounded as he was talking about Trevor Lawrence, it sounded like he had awe in his voice describing.
Well, no, I just have my
arching pass by Trevor Lawrence. You sounded like you were just amazed.
I am amazed.
Completely, like you've never seen that before.
He sounded as if he
Jake
was
Bentley
amazed.
throws a beautiful ball. Deshaun Watson threw a beautiful ball.
Not like this. Not like this.
Well,
oh, come on. You go up to Clemson now twice in camp, and here you are. You're drinking the orange, purple
I might have a Trevor Lawrence man crush. I might have a little Trevor Lawrence man crush.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say this. I always keep this in my back pocket just for people not to anoint quarterbacks too quickly. Boy, he throws a beautiful ball. So did Jeff George. So, you got to watch.
But, there was nothing wrong with Jeff George as a quarterback for the most part, except he did throw a lot of interceptions. But, during his heyday, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and he got the Colts. Didn't he get the Colts into the playoffs?
I don't think he ever got the Colts into the playoffs. He got the Falcons into the playoffs, but not the Colts. The problem with Jeff George is, unlike most quarterbacks, when the rush got to him, he turned his back to the defense. How can you find the secondary and tertiary receivers if you got your back turned?
Well, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that he's necessarily the greatest thing ever. Because again, you could get into the situation, get into the moment, and crumble. So I'm not saying that he's ready to play. I'm just telling you he throws a nice ball. Now that might not translate to the game. That might not translate to game day. But at the same point in time, you see where he has all the tools, and that's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he doesn't do like some of those quarterbacks the Redskins used to have to throw the option pass. What I mean by option pass is the passes were so wobbly that you could have the option to catch it either end of the ball.
No.
Yeah.
It's right. It's right in guys' chests. I mean, that's the one thing.
Joe Namath
against air.
Yeah. All right, 800-956-7266, our phone number here on Sports Talk. We are at Coastal Carolina, where we are positioned inside the Hall of Fame room here at the stadium. This is a program, of course, that is still really, in terms of college football and the history of college football, it's still in its infancy. It wasn't too many years ago a group of people got together and came up with the idea of a college football program at Coastal Carolina, and they found the old Conway High School football field to practice on, and David Bennett was hired as the first coach and brought in a team of about 70 or 80 people. Didn't play anybody for that first year, just practiced. I think maybe played some JV teams and stuff like that, and he took them to great success at the FCS level. And now Coach Mogley has come in. He continued that success at the FCS level, getting them into the playoffs. And the school has thrown a bunch of money into the program. The fans have gotten behind it, and the state has helped out as well. And they've made that move up to FBS, into the Sun Belt Conference, and they're expanding this stadium. They'll have a true horseshoe look when the stadium is complete, as what is now the visitor side, what would be considered the visitor side, the side opposite of the press box and the home sideline, will have an upper deck to it. It'll have a complete horseshoe look with one side open towards the road that is one of the main roads of campus and heading towards the stadium. So it'll be very, very good looking facility when it's all said and done. Just part of what is a burgeoning athletic program here, Pro. As we well know, the baseball program has been great for years, and I mean not just great, it's been great for years, and won a national championship a couple of years ago. Has a beautiful baseball stadium and facilities, a relatively new basketball arena. I'm watching the girls lacrosse team, I think that is, out on the football field going through their preseason camp, and so they got a lot of things here. Matt Hogue, the athletics director, longtime friend of everybody in the media, doing a great job in his position, trying to steer this thing through the ups and downs of growth. And they're hopeful that this football season, with Mogley back in charge, can be a successful one for them in the Sun Belt and lead to further growth. They want to, of course, win a Sun Belt championship. They want to get to a bowl game. Being in a league that's not in the Power Five, obviously they realize under the current arrangement in college football, they're not going to have a chance to win a national championship in college football until something is changed and restructured. But still, there are goals, and those begin with getting back to a winning season, winning a league championship, and then getting to a bowl game.
Well, I wonder how much to coin that not having their head coach with them really kind of rocked the system. And then this is not a knock on Jamie Chadwell. It's just that's an impossible spot to be in. I think if you're him, because I think that anytime you lose your leader for whatever reason, it certainly kind of rocks the foundation of your program. And combine that with the fact that they got to go up a level in play to the Sun Belt. That's obviously something that's a lot different. And we heard from Coach Mogley, at least at the beginning or at least the end of spring, about some of the recruiting challenges that they have to go through, just the fact that they have to step up and they can only sign as many people as they can sign in order to kind of keep up with the numbers. But they'll have to start to sign a different kind of player and at least get that to at least the level that they need to be able to compete in the Sun Belt. But it'll be something that interesting to observe over the next couple of years with them, not only as their expansion continues, but also their transition continues in this league.
Yeah, they're still not up to full speed in terms of scholarship numbers with their compadres in the Sun Belt, but that will happen in the next year or two. We'll be back. More sports talk from across the state.
So Brian, I'll take it back and go to Kelly.
All right, man.
And again, I'm having to mute it just because I'm getting a lot of the reverb coming back to me, and it's hard. Now I'm going to get to it pretty quickly because we're going to talk about the urban stuff on the back end.
All right, man. Got 50 seconds.
Cool. No problem. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, as we come to you from Clemson, from Coastal, and from Columbia. 800-956-7266 is how you get in touch with us. Also at SportsTalkSC on Twitter and on Periscope at SportsTalkSC for our video feed, although the video will only be showing Pro's lovely face. It's Corn and I are on location. Again, we took in a little bit of Clemson practice earlier today. We got to see about 7.5 periods. We saw them work a lot on tempo today. Again, all the offensive stuff came against air, so we didn't get to necessarily see any 11-on-11 work, with the exception of what happened on kickoff. And one of the things that did happen on kickoff is a notable injury that we don't know the extent of, because we did not have any coaches today, and that is tight end Mylan Richard went down with what appeared to be some sort of lower leg injury on his left side. Came off with assistance. Again, don't want to necessarily speculate on exactly what it is. He did have an ice pack on his knee after practice, or at least after that part of practice, and successive drills. So we'll get an update on Thursday when we talk next with head coach Dabo Swinney. But we had a chance to speak today to quarterback Kelly Bryant, who many believe is still the odds-on favorite to start the Furman game. And then after that, we'll see. But he says he's taking the same approach he did when he was the man who's named the starter 1 year ago yesterday.
Oh, it was good, get away from football for a little bit, just it was a bit, recovery, it was let a lot of us, sleep in a little bit, get some rest, a little bit downtown. But, it was good, to get back, yesterday, finish up camp, on a good note.
Do you like the kind of closing the door on camp and now starting to kind of focus in on the season ahead in the first game in Furman?
Definitely, we've been grinding for 3 weeks, and, good on good, now we get to focus in on an opponent now rather than, Clemson. We're still going to do that, but, like it says now, it's good, to flip the script a little bit, get ready for opponent.
How much do you feel you've kind of hit your stride, at least the last week or so? I know that Dabo has said you've had some of your best days here, especially with the last scrimmage.
I feel like it's been good, and I feel like I had a pretty good camp, overall, could be better, but, I feel like, it's good competition, at all positions on the team. So, it brought the good, a lot of people, it was good to see, guys out there competing, and myself as well.
A year ago at this time, you knew at this point in the camp that you were the starting quarterback going into week 1. Would you like to know that now, or is it okay that it's still up in the air?
It's up to the coaches. I feel like I've done everything I needed to do. So, I'll leave it in the coaches' hands, and they're going to make the decision that's best for the team. So, all I got to do is make sure I'm ready each and every week.
You haven't changed anything as far as just with the competition. You haven't, done anything differently. You've acted like you're the starter.
Definitely. Prepared like I'm the starter. I feel like I came out here, stepped on the field like I'm the starter. Trying to be that leader, for all the guys. And I don't feel like I've changed anything, just anything. I just try to enhance it as well.
Y'all ran more plays than any team in the country last year. But we've been hearing from the coaches that you plan to go even faster. Do you think that might be the biggest difference in this offense?
Definitely. We always been, stressing tempo. we feel like we could have been better, a year ago. And, throughout camp, that's all we've been stressing, tempo, just lining up, getting the call in, and playing fast.
What do you see from this young group of receivers, a couple of the freshmen that have stood out? What have you seen from your perspective?
Those guys they caught the scheme really fast. They've learned it. It's good to see that they're transitioning from the meeting room out here on the field. They're out there making competitive plays. They're doing everything that's asked of them, and they're also, contributing as well.
How do you balance the ability of just getting your own game in gear, but also trying to mentor the two younger guys, Chase and Trevor?
I do what I've been doing all along. I had young guys last year in the room. I was under two older guys. I just leaned on what they told me. What they brought me up on. So just also make sure that I'm doing everything for myself as well, and also make sure that I'm helping those guys out as well, because they've been doing the same thing for me. Whenever I don't see something, they may see something differently. They've been putting their input. So it's been good to see that and hear that.
If the plan is to kind of switch around the quarterbacks in the middle of a game, does that mess up your rhythm at all, or how do you focus with that?
I just stay ready.
Coach Sweeney said yesterday you guys did some team activities. What exactly did you guys do as a team yesterday?
There's a lot of different opportunities. Guys went out on the boat. There was tubing, jet skiing. Guys went golfing. Some guys went to sleep in the church. I don't think that's pretty good. But, yeah, me and a couple guys, we went fishing. Didn't really catch anything, so kind of disappointed in myself right there, though.
That's Kelly Bryant. Little levity from the quarterback on the way out. Again, that's the last chance we get to see Clemson. We do get some from Dabo Swinney after their light workout on Thursday. There was some speculation that might give us a chance to get the depth reel there, but we're still not necessarily sure that that's going to happen Thursday. They had said earlier this week that might come on Monday. So we'll see exactly when we get that from them, and possibly we'll figure out who the starting quarterback and who the starters of other positions are at that point. Meanwhile, tomorrow, Corn, or at least by this time tomorrow, we should know at least the solution for what's going on in Columbus with Urban Meyer. And many of the reporting out there seems to suggest that Urban Meyer might not only get off scot-free, but might get off with time served, which I would think would be a travesty.
Yeah. Well, before that, let me just say this about Kelly Bryant and his comment about his fishing. He obviously is no Donnell Stanley when it comes to hauling in the fish.
Well, who can? Who can?
Well, I mean, they're both small-town kids. I mean, Kelly's from small-town upstate South Carolina. I mean, he originally was at Wren High School. Actually, before he was at Wren, he was at was he at Calhoun Falls too? Trying to remember before he ended up at Wren. And, of course, Donnell, the USC center, is from the latter suburb of Floydale. And loves to fish, and had a picture of him.
Has no suburbs, Corn.
Yeah, that's Forest Hills, Floydale,
Come on.
Temperance Hill.
Come on.
Shall I continue? Sellers. But anyway, there was a picture of him, holding a whole bunch of fish that he caught, I think, out at Lake Murray. On to the other topic. I mean, listen, this thing's going to play out in two different ways. Around Columbus, Ohio, and the state of Ohio, that's going to be viewed, if that's what the verdict is, that's going to be viewed as the right thing. And to the rest of the country, I think that people who have a little bit more of an open mind about this thing are going to go, what? After everything that has been written and produced in the evidence and what appears to be the case. I mean, and you also go back to this. How could he not have known? Plausible deniability doesn't really save him here. Even if he said that, I was just following protocol. I mean, look, it took down Joe Paterno at Penn State with similar, who used a similar explanation, and that wasn't good enough there. I don't see how it's good enough at Ohio State.
Well, the difficult thing about Ohio State is I'm trying to think of all the ancillary things around Ohio State. As I said before, every coach there since 1943 has been fired. Some pretty good coaches have come through there, and for very weird reasons has been shown the door. Earl Bruce, Jim Tressel, everybody's darling at the time, and now Urban Meyer, another native son of Ohio, comes in here. And his head is sitting in the guillotine. I don't know where this is going. I really still don't know where this is going, unless they really have the machine cranked up to spin this in a way that people will accept it. But will the moms and dads accept it when he goes out on these recruiting trips?
Well, if you're the university president there, Hal, and he's been on vacation during, or is it the AD? I think the AD has been on vacation.
AD has been, yeah.
A lot of this investigation. Well, that's a good look. You only got, the most important investigation going on probably in the history of the program, and you're on vacation. Okay. That kind of tells you who's running the ship there when it comes to this. And how can a man of letters and education, the school president, stand up in front of the country and explain this away if what has been suggested is going to be the final verdict here, and that is, suspension for time served, which is going to amount to about 2.5 weeks. How can you, with a straight face, look into that camera and explain that away to the rest of the country?
I don't see how you can. I mean, I feel that with what we know now about what Zach Smith is alleged to have done, I don't know how you could let that in your program. I just don't.
And it's only gotten worse. I mean, as more stuff has come out from Brett McMurphy, it's not like anything has come out to support what Smith has said. It's just there's been other very strong evidence to the counter. All right, we'll hit a break. We've got recruiting coming up. A.J. Turner of the Gamecocks as well. Sports Talk from Coastal, Clemson, and Columbia.
Tell Corn to respond to his text.
He is now responding.
Oh, he finally did. All right, so same deal here. Basically, I'm going to throw to A.J. Turner, and then I'll throw to him for recruiting out of the end of this.
All right.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Welcome back, Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network on this Tuesday as we come to you from Clemson, Coastal, and Columbia. Will Pelagic, Phil Kornblut, and Professor Tom Hayes. As we're at Clemson practice today, we're going to give you a little bit of Gamecock flavor here now. Again, we haven't been able to talk to the Gamecocks since about last Thursday. We heard from Will Muschamp on Saturday following their final scrimmage. They practiced yesterday afternoon and also this afternoon, a couple of 3 p.m. practices for them over at the King Outdoor Family Fields and also at the Jerry and Steve Spurrier Indoor Practice Facility. But again, they will be taking tomorrow off and Thursday off, 48 hours off their feet, at least when it comes to actual practice time. They will not necessarily be out there on the workouts. They have their school starting on Thursday, but they will have some meetings over the course of the next couple of days to get themselves ready for Coastal Carolina, where Corn is, who they open up with a week from Saturday. Here's a little bit from running back A.J. Turner, who was South Carolina's at least most consistent runner last year. And he says that one of the things that they are trying to shore up is the inconsistencies with their short yardage game from a year ago.
Short yardage, I think, sometimes was the issue for us. We weren't able to convert on third down, or if we had a fourth down, we weren't able to do it. So just trying to focus on that in the offseason and trying to get the right personnel or, the right people in the game for that certain situation. It's kind of like what we've been working on, just situational football in every phase. So
Players have talked about the pass pocket looking bigger and the holes looking bigger running-wise. How much have you noticed that?
I think I've been able to notice it considerable amount. I feel like our offensive line is doing a great job. They're getting movement at the line of scrimmage, and they're getting up to the second level, and that's all that we can ask for. So it's really up to us to, make the holes and get through where we have to get through. So big credit to the offensive line because they've definitely gotten better over the offseason. And from last year, they've gotten a ton better. So I definitely commend Coach Wolf and everybody on the offensive line because they definitely been working their tails off on the offseason. And I've even seen it firsthand. I know sometimes I usually come in to the weight room first. And I came in and seen all the offensive linemen there. They all getting the extra lift, and it just kind of made me happy knowing that they really care about this kind of thing. They want to be able to protect us, and that's what we got to do to win football games.
Seems like with this new offensive philosophy, they're trying to spread out a little bit more, maybe a little detached tight end. How much have you guys worked on just the pass protection part of this game, and how much of a step up do you think you need to make this year with that?
I think we always work on pass protection. Like we always go versus linebackers in practice every day. Doing pass pro drills. Stepping up, make sure we have inside leverage kind of thing. So we always work those kind of things as far as like pass protection and stuff like that. But we'll never stop working at it because it's something that you kind of have to perfect as a running back. Something that's very valuable. Something that you really have to do because you can really get the quarterback killed, or you can really just completely throw off the whole play. So Coach Bentley definitely makes that important. And he teaches us a lot about it. Like we go over all the time in meetings and stuff. So
where's your game developed personally since a year ago?
For me, I feel like I'm working more on my moves, like working on the secondary and secondary cuts. Doing hash number sideline instead of always trying to run into people or like try to make sure I'm getting the tough yards kind of thing, but instead just use my natural God-given ability and just run away from people.
More of elusive instead of a bowling ball.
Yeah, but I'm still have what I've been doing, just trying to add a little more to my craft.
Rico said Coach Bentley's asked y'all to increase the bull yards percentage this year. How'd y'all do on that percentage last year?
We did okay last year, but I do feel like just based off of these past scrimmages and what we've been doing for this season, I think that we're going to be even better. I think last year probably at like 40 or 39%, and Coach Bentley likes it to be at like 41, 42%. And I know in the scrimmage, like I know Tyson had like 74%. I had 69, and it was just some ridiculous numbers. So it just gives me hope and know that we're gonna be able to do this thing this year.
That is A.J. Turner from earlier than camp and against South Carolina, hosting Coastal a week from Saturday. Speaking of Coastal, that's where Corn is, and he has today's recruiting report.
Indeed. Yes, let's update a couple of things going on in recruiting this afternoon. And first and foremost is late word this afternoon that Chase Hunter, the 6'2" guard out of Atlanta, is going to make his college announcement tomorrow. He is set to choose from Clemson, Michigan State, Georgia, Virginia, and Oklahoma. He just took an official visit to Clemson over the weekend. Of course, he's the son of former Georgia football star Bryce Hunter, and his mother also played basketball at Georgia. Now, Georgia just picked up a pair of commitments. I don't know how that affects them. Both of them are, well, I think one is a small forward and the other is a big guard. I'm not sure how that affects them in terms of Hunter and room for him, or how interested he is with them, considering others have jumped in on the boat there at Georgia. And looks like getting a note here from a contact that he'll announce it on Twitter sometime tomorrow afternoon. A contact I've been talking to who knows Hunter and covers him in Georgia said that he thinks it'll be Clemson or Georgia. He thinks it might be Clemson because he's coming off the official visit, and all of a sudden, bam, he's ready to announce the decision. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Chase Hunter will announce tomorrow. Former Saluda Shrine Bowl defensive lineman Kalijah Brown has a new home. It's at Newberry College. He arrived on campus today. He'll be eligible immediately. He signed with Wake Forest early, enrolled in January, but left early in camp this month. Went home back to Saluda, and now is at Newberry. Offensive lineman Trevor Keegan of Crystal Lake, Illinois, told the Penn State fan site Blue White Illustrated he'll set official visits with Clemson, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. He has dropped Alabama from his list. Back to a basketball 6'5", Gerald Drumgoole of Rochester, New York, said he's being recruited by USC, and he has interest in the Gamecocks. Said he likes the school a lot, and they are talking about getting him on campus for a visit soon. Drumgoole said Texas is another school he's considering for a visit. He just picked up an offer from DePaul, and some others are Maryland, Georgia, Temple, UMass, and Vermont. He will play this season at La Lemure School in LaPorte, Indiana. Is that not the school that the kid that came to Carolina, transferred from Louisville, signed with Louisville,
yes,
came and left so quickly? Did he not go to that same school?
I think he went 1 year to that school, yes.
Yeah, and that school sounded familiar to me. And so I imagine that Chuck Martin, USC assistant coach who recruits that area, probably has a lot to do with the interest there from South Carolina's standpoint. And in baseball, 2020 right-hander Samuel Swigert, 6'1", 185 of South Aiken, committed to USC. He gives the Gamecocks a dozen commitments for the 2020 class. All right, there you go with recruiting. And, of course, we invite you to check it out on a regular basis on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter. Use the hashtag #STRecruiting. It is turning into a beautiful afternoon, early evening here on the coastal side of South Carolina as we watch the Coastal lacrosse team go through some preseason work. I guess their season will be getting underway pretty soon, as most of these fall teams are getting into their schedules. Soccer teams are already underway. In fact, Thursday we've got the first USC-Clemson battle of the new academic season, as it will be the women's soccer teams teeing it up and going head-to-head. Where is that game? Anybody know off the top of their head?
Nope.
That's been the wrong guy.
Attention. Yeah. I just remember reading that they're playing on Thursday. I don't remember exactly where they're playing. But that'll get things rolling between the two sides once again as South Carolina attempts to defend its Palmetto championship in the head-to-head competition against Clemson in all the sports. Of course, the Tigers have had the upper hand in football and men's basketball and in baseball here of late, and that's, face it, that's what most people talk about when it comes to the head-to-head competition. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina. We'll hear from Coach Moglia. Also, the players, quarterback Kilton Anderson and linebacker Silas Kelly, coming your way here on Sports Talk.
Don't even bother turning me up these next 2 segments.
Will,
Sir,
you said something to me just now?
I said just don't worry about turning me up these next 2, just because I'm not at the Mobley is pre-recorded. And I'm not asking a player question, so
I got you.
I'm gonna try to do some cuts here.
2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornblut, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show. 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back at Sports Talk on a Tuesday night on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour, but we're all over the state. Will is up at Clemson. Of course, Tom Hayes is back at our studios in Columbia, and I am at wild and wonderful Coastal Carolina University, just outside of Conway, and we are here to talk to the Chanticleers. We'll hear from Coach Joe Moglia coming up in a little bit, but right now we're joined by 2 of the Chants in quarterback Kilton Anderson out of Naples, Florida, but a graduate of Skyline High School in Seattle, Washington.
Correct.
And before coming here, played at Fresno State.
Yes, sir.
Came here a couple of years ago. We're also joined by linebacker Silas Kelly from Mount Airy, Maryland.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Good to have the 2 of you with us. And, I know you guys are anxious to get the season going, Kilton. And last year was, record-wise, not a great year. But if you look at it closely, you see a lot of competitive ball games that could have gone the other way. Tell us how, on the offensive side, camp has come together for you this year and kind of where you guys are as the season is right around the corner.
As you do look at the record, it definitely didn't show, how close these games were. We just had, a few too many mistakes and crucial moments that really hurt us. But I think that with having Chadwell and Moglia back from a sabbatical, that it's really allowed Chadwell to, fix issues this offense that he's been so good at and has had a lot of success at Charleston Southern with. And it's just fixing the minute details that were killing us last year. And I think that we're going to have a pretty efficient offense this year.
Yeah, what are some of those things that y'all have focused on?
It was really the penalties. You'd get a big play, possibly a touchdown or a first down, and then you'd get a big penalty that, put you back. And then we weren't good enough at that time to overcome those penalties. It was really, we have the saying now, having a combat mindset, and that's just really locking in for that 6 seconds, focusing on everything that you got to do to effectively run the play. And I think that's the biggest thing that we got to focus on this year is just, not letting the little details come up and bite you and just focusing on one play at a time.
You have emerged as a starting quarterback coming out of what I'm sure was a pretty intense battle in camp. How did you guys kind of push each other in camp and you kind of emerged as the guy going into the regular season?
I think all the quarterbacks did a great job. We're a pretty tight-knit group. We're all friends and we get along really well. So, that allows us to actually help each other out and not push each other away. I think that, we all knew we were nipping at each other's heels, and it just pushed each one of us to just get better every day. And in the end, I just, had that little bit more experience, was a little bit more comfortable with this offense, having run it in high school and stuff. So I think it just clicked a little bit faster for me.
Silas, defensively, how do you think you guys are looking heading towards the regular season? You like where the group is?
Absolutely. I feel like we had a really solid camp. And obviously with Coach Marvin Sanders coming in as the new defensive coordinator, he's brought a lot of energy and attention to detail to our defense. And I think the guys on the team have really bought into his system. And we've really just come together and formed pretty solid defense, flying around, getting to the ball. And we're excited to get this season rolling.
What do you like about his philosophy and his approach to defense? What things has he brought here that maybe, were lacking the last couple of years?
The word that comes to mind when I think of what Coach Sanders has brought is when I think about Coach Sanders, he's really just energized our team and our defense, and the effort that we give on each play and the attention to detail is critical on every play. And, one step here, one missed assignment here can be the cost of the game. You could win or lose based on one late read or anything of that nature. And he really harps on that and is very, very active during practice in his coaching. And he brings a lot of energy in himself as the person that he is. He brings a lot of energy to the table, and I think that's transferred over to our defense.
Plus, he's an experienced guy.
Oh, absolutely. He's a wizard on the field with with his play calling and everything.
Now, traditionally under Coach Mobley, maybe this has changed some. I don't know. You can tell me, but there hasn't been a lot of contact in practice at Coastal. He doesn't like to do a lot of hitting. Am I still right about that? Has that changed up any? Have you guys been a little more physical in practice this time around?
There are times when we're physical. There are times when we go live action, full tackle, like it would be in a game. But Coach Mobley really understands the concept of taking care of our players as investments and understanding that our bodies are a priority, and that if we go full contact every day and then we get out of camp with 30 guys injured, then that's not going to be beneficial to our team. So he really thinks that we limit the live action to specific moments, and then really take advantage of that opportunity that we have to go live in those moments, and really make the most out of it without putting our whole team at risk, if you know what I mean.
Sure, absolutely. Kilton, what about some of the offensive weapons that'll be around you, running back, wide receiver? Who's emerging at those spots as your go-to guys?
I mean, we got a solid receiving core coming back. We have Malcolm Williams, who, was a standout last year, definitely broke some records. And he's just, a guy that wants it. He gets it. He knows this offense. And, he's the type of guy that you can go to on 3rd and long, and he's going to make a play to get that ball for you. And then we have a lot of young guys that are emerging. We have Kion coming back. He's a very experienced player, very fast. Silas knows that. He's just a great all-around player, and we got some speed, in all 4 corners of this offense right now. We got a great backfield. We got some experience coming back with Shake Atlow. He's going to be a great player, and we have the backfield's honestly stacked. I don't think you could, name a couple starters right now, because all these guys are still competing. Whether it's speed or force, I think that we've filled all the gaps and what we need in the backfield right now.
They do have a very versatile backfield from going against them during camp.
Hard to run down.
I wouldn't say hard to run down, but they're a good mix. They have all kinds of elements in different players.
Yeah. So coming from that Fresno program, where they like to throw it around a good bit, and they have produced, some very famous quarterbacks. What did you learn there that you've carried over with you here to Coastal, that you really you're going to get your chance this year? What do you hope to show off with what you've known in your quarterbacking past?
I think that's just being consistent. I think that's the most important thing at the quarterback position, is someone who can, consistently make the little plays, which allows the big plays to come. And I think me being consistent allows our offense to flow a lot better, allows other people to make plays. And it really just opens up opportunities for everyone across the board if I'm doing my job.
So a season opens a week from Saturday, not too far from here, up at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. And Silas, what about getting a chance to play the Gamecocks right off the bat in front of what will be an energized 80,000 plus on a hot Saturday afternoon in Columbia?
Absolutely. We're looking forward to it. And we see it as an opportunity to kind of just show people what we can do. And last year, the record didn't show kind of what we felt we had as a team. We felt like we had a better team last year than the record showed. And we kind of hurt ourselves with little details and penalties and stuff that Kilton mentioned earlier. But we're really excited to just get out there and show people what we can do.
Think you guys can slow down Jake Bentley and company?
Absolutely.
Because?
I mean, the things that I mentioned earlier, our team is very energized. Our defense flies to the ball, and we're all very passionate about what we do, and we're all bought into Coach Sanders' system.
Mm-hmm. Kilton, how about going up against the Gamecock defense?
We're excited. We've been watching them on film. I don't think that – not necessarily – we're not scared to play, South Carolina. I'm not saying that we're like, that's like a tough macho thing. I'm just saying, we've been there. We have a lot of experience on this team right now. I don't think guys are going to shy away from, giving all that they got. I think that we're more physically prepared than we've ever needed to be. I think that our practice, the talent that we have surrounding this team right now is more than enough. As we watch them, I think we're anxious to get there. I think that we have a lot of guys that are going to make some big plays and make the plays that are given to us. I think they have a great team this year, but I also think we have a great team, so I'm excited to get there and get it done.
Guys, we thank you very much for coming over. We will see you a week from Saturday in Columbia. So best of luck to you then, and best of luck all season.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. Kilton Anderson and Silas Kelly. We'll hear from the coach, Joe Moglia, in a moment.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
And we're back with you, Sports Talk Tuesday night edition on the Palmetto Pigskin Tour as we continue to crisscross the state. We're at North Greenville last night. We're at Coastal Carolina tonight, and we just heard from a couple of Coastal Carolina players. Now an interview with head coach Joe Moglia that was recorded just a little while ago. He had a dinner function he needed to attend to tonight, so we had to record something with him earlier in the afternoon, and we asked him his thoughts about how this team has come together in this camp.
From a leadership perspective, this is the best leadership that our guys have shown since I've been here. I feel really good about that. They also work very hard in the offseason, and they're in the best shape of any team we've had since I've been here. So we've gotten through camp really, really pretty well. I mean,
Hey, what's up? So I did something. I don't know what I did on this side, but I tried to mute Corn on the Hangout.
disadvantage we have this year is that we're only at 70 scholarships. So 15 scholarships differential on signing day is not that big a deal because frankly, most of those guys a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. But after you fine tune them for a couple of years, those are 15 good football players. So they're 15 good football players. Everybody has we don't. So that's going to have an impact on our depth. It's going to have an impact on our special teams.
Let's go to your defense and your special teams after seeing them in camp. How does the defensive side look, and do you feel pretty secure about what you're doing on the special teams?
As far as the defense goes, I think the defense is far more coordinated than they were a year ago. I think they're far more physical than they were a year ago. Their fundamentals are far better. They seem to understand the schemes. They're doing a good job of working together. Again, having said that, they're still reasonably young. And from a special teams perspective, I'm really delighted with the way the unit coordinators, each of the units have a specific coordinator. I'm really delighted the way the unit coordinators have kind of worked together and bring our guys along. And again, our issue is going to be depth across the board because of the 15 scholarships. But the guys have been working hard, and I like what I see from both the defense and the special teams.
You look around here, you see the stadium under construction. You got plans for a bowl game down here. You're in the Sun Belt. You can compete for a championship. A lot of things are happening in a very short amount of time with this program.
I couldn't agree more, Phil. And so now, we're going to have plenty of opportunity, and we're excited about that. But then we've got to deliver on that. So that's our job to try to be able to take advantage of that. But there is a lot of good things going on at Coastal Carolina, from now till for the next several years.
Yeah. For those who, want to come down and see a game and want to enjoy the new stadium, when will it be complete? When do you expect to have everything in place?
The 3/4 of it will be in place when we open up this year. The whole thing will be completed probably sometime next spring.
And you'll be seating how many at that point?
I think it's 22, 23.
Can you fill it?
Well, we'll find out. But number one, we got to put a good product on the field. Number two, I think Coastal Carolina has an impact in our local community, like $600 million a year. Now, Horry County's got to appreciate that too, and Horry County's got to step up a little bit as far as that goes. We're pretty proud of what we've been able to accomplish in football. We were invited to the Sun Belt because of what we've accomplished in football. We're going to be very competitive down the road. Our baseball team's already won a national championship. The campus is beautiful. We're growing, and we're very much part of this overall community. And the community needs to kind of get involved with that a little bit more themselves.
Yeah. Do you mentioned national championship? When you were in the FCS and you went deep in the playoffs, you had a chance to win a national championship. Let's face it, the way things are structured now, you've got no chance to win a national championship in college football. You can win a Sun Belt championship, you can win a bowl game, but you're not going to get to the national championship. You feel slighted by that as a coach, knowing at this stage of your career that gold ring is out of your reach?
Well, I would be slighted if I didn't think. I think we would probably shut out Alabama. We shut out all those schools, so I don't have a problem with that. So I don't necessarily give it up. We're not going to win a national championship. But, we know what reality is, and our job is to maximize our potential. So the G5 schools, and we're just new at that, and they don't even have – the Power 5 schools don't even have a money concern ever, even though some of them act like they do. Yeah. So we understand that. And, the really elite teams in the country, we understand that they are a level above. But the elite teams are a level above a lot of people. So our job is to maximize our potential. And if we're doing that, I can look in the mirror and feel pretty good about that. If we did outstanding and we didn't maximize our potential, I would not feel good about that looking in the mirror. So the results kind of follow the maximization of your potential for me.
The money question of the interview. Tariffs on China. What's it going to mean to the stock market volatility-wise in the next 6 months?
I think everybody's doing a pretty good job of trying to evaluate which specific sectors are issues or problems, and therefore which of our companies are going to have the greatest problem if China winds up jacking up the tariffs on us. The reality is our overall economy is so strong and so good that we would be able to weather those storms. We literally would be able to do that. China is a communist country, and they're going to keep telling the people to weather the storms. But at the end of the day, there has not been a time in history where communism or socialism has beaten capitalism. So we're pretty.
All right, Joe Moglia. We'll be right back.
Guessing we didn't have the full bro to that. Talk South Carolina Radio Network as we continue on a Tuesday evening. And as we sit right now on this 21st day of August, the next date on the NASCAR calendar comes a week from Sunday at the Lady in Black, Cornblue.
Yes, indeed. Kerry Tharp and company on the clock in terms of the NASCAR schedule as we welcome KT into Sports Talk. Kerry Tharp, president of Darlington. Before we get to that, pretty hot night in Bristol the other night. Things got a little dicey there with the 78 car and the 18 car. That's good to see. You won a little bit of that back and forth and some emotion out of your drivers. And then, of course, Kurt Busch pulled away and had a very strong win, but overall a good night of racing at Bristol.
It really was, Phil. I thought it was one of the better races of the year. It kind of reminded me of the old Bristol. A lot of beating and banging and give and take. And as you mentioned, there were some tempers flaring, and I hope they bring that on and continue it over at Darlington. In fact, I was hoping Martin Truex Jr. would get out of his car and go down pit road chasing after Kyle Busch with a tire tool. But I guess that wasn't going to happen. Maybe they'll bring that to Darlington and we can do it then. But yeah, I think it was heating up the other night. I think the nerves were getting frayed a little bit. Patience was wearing thin. But all in all, I thought it was a great race and a good lead into our weekend coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, speaking of tempers, there's going to be some people with some tempers if they don't have their new seats with their new beer cup holders in place by the time they get there. 2 weeks from or a week from Sunday.
I tell you, don't worry about that, Phil. I was over there. I've been over there every single day, and those seats are in. They're secure. They look great. They're just doing some cleanup now, some finishing touches. All the seats have been installed. It's going to be a great experience for the fans. It's a much better view. I was sitting up there today, actually about halfway up Tyler Tower, and it's a much better view down on pit road than we've ever had down on the front stretch. But anybody can bring a beverage of their choice or buy a beverage of their choice, sit up there at Darlington Raceway and watch the race. It's going to be a great time.
That's great. That's great. What else is left to be done to get her all set and ready to go for folks to start piling in there next week?
Well, like I said, the construction crews are pretty much off property for the most part, just doing a little cleaning up there. We've got some painting to do on the pit walls. We've got a few signs to hang. We've got some grass to cut. We've got some banners to put up, and really it's just the final stages right now, getting ready for the NASCAR folks to come in town. They'll be rolling in about a week from now. We've already got a lot of folks on property right now. We've got some of the network trucks. We've got Monster. We've got AmeriCrown, our caterer. We've got a lot of the people that do the merchandise and souvenirs already setting up. So the tents are going up. So, this time next week, it'll be full bore. We'll be all the way in by then. But just some cleaning up from our construction project. A little punch list here and there, but we'll be ready to go for sure in earnest by the first of the week.
That's got to be a fun time for you and your organization. I mean, you get 1 weekend to make it all happen. You plan for this, all year long, and now it's here. The time is coming, and you want everything to just go perfectly that you can control.
Exactly, Phil. I mean, certainly you pray for the best weather you possibly can. You want the fans to come out and have a great time. You want it to be an exciting race. Like you said, you have that one time, kind of like the NCAA tournament. You have that one shining moment to really show the nation and the world, what Darlington Raceway is all about. And so, we work very, very hard in getting our racetrack ready, and I think NASCAR is going to put on a great couple of races next weekend. And so, the hay's not quite in the barn, but I tell you, we're starting to getting really, really close to being ready, and things will kick off in earnest next Thursday night with the Hauler Parade and go right through the checkered flag on Sunday night.
KT, did anything about the construction efforts and the renovations, did that kind of put anything that you might have done in your original preparations, whether or not you have a race, just in a garden variety year, not that, every year obviously is different, but did anything kind of set you back a little bit when it comes to what you normally would be doing this time of year as far as getting the finishing touches put on?
Not really, Will. I think what it did is made us prioritize everything and really just kind of make sure that we were making the best use of our time. This construction project started back in February. And so, it's been a long grind getting it completed. But we were very, very busy really the entire calendar year getting ready for this race. And it probably, just meant that you had to spend a little extra time here, a little extra time there, as opposed to maybe what you did in previous years because of the project. But at the very end, it's all going to be worth it. As I said, that seating experience is going to be, the best that it's ever been here at Darlington. And so, we look forward to that. It's going to be fun. But, yeah, I would think that, maybe just a little extra time doing some other things. But we got a really good staff, and I think everybody made the best use of their time. But now, as we get down to crunch time, every single day and every single moment is important. So we're trying to do the best we can with the time left that we have.
Well, KT, the fans, they're going to have a little bit more fervor because of NASCAR's answer to a bye week, that you have 2 weeks to be prepared.
Well, I hope so, Tom. That's a great point. It's kind of like building up the Super Bowl. You always got that week in between where you get a lot of media hype and do some things. But I think the Bristol race was a great precursor for our race. It was exciting. It was, a fast pace. Like you said, there were some tempers flaring. So I think it was an ideal setup into our race weekend. And I think people that saw that race and watched that race said, hey, I want to get a little bit more of that. So, we want them to come on over to Darlington next week, and hopefully we'll put on a great show, and it'll be just kind of continue the momentum as NASCAR gets ready to hit its playoff run.
Talking to Kerry Tharp, president of Darlington. So we've talked about all the improvement for the fans, and they'll certainly enjoy that. What about for the drivers, maybe behind the scenes? Certainly the track hasn't changed. I mean, the walls are still hard and right up on you, and the oval's still grainy and tire chewing. But what about, back in some of the areas where we don't see the drivers and the crews? Anything done for them that they'll see different this time around?
Well, I think the one thing that we've done is really more of a recognition of anything. We're putting up this wall of honor, which is kind of a reminiscent of the Cowboys Ring of Honor, and it's starting to go up at the track right now. And it's a really kind of an iconic banner that stretches along the front stretch and the back stretch that honors all 49 drivers that have won Cup races here at Darlington. So I think the drivers will get a kick out of that, seeing their names and their stars, adorned in that nature. So that's probably the main thing that we've done for the drivers. They don't really want us to mess with the racetrack or anything like that. We are having a real neat Saturday night event to celebrate our 7 decades of NASCAR. We've got about 18 NASCAR personalities participating in that in Hospitality Village, and that'll take place after the Sun at 500 parade. But the whole atmosphere and the throwback, the drivers love that. The paint schemes are coming out almost daily now, so I think we're gearing up and looking forward to having a real neat weekend next week.
KT, I just want to, I can meet Hanson. That's really all I care about.
What's that?
Can I meet Hanson when you have him there?
Hanson, you want Hanson? Okay, well, let me say something. We'll see if we can make that happen. They'll do a little bebop for you guys, but I don't know. You need to check those guys out on YouTube. They do a great rendition of the national anthem. And I've heard them in a couple major league games on YouTube. They did a super job. I thought they did it the right way. They honored the country properly during the national anthem. So we're going to have them there, Will. And I tell you what, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you meet Hanson.
That's just great. Thank you, KT.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
Talk to you next week.
Come on.
I mean, I didn't realize you had such a crush on boy bands.
Mm-hmm.
Not a boy band.
Yeah, get him some bubble gum while you're at it.
Yeah.
That's not nice.
All right, we'll be
guys-
back. Sports Talk from down here at Coastal, up there at Clemson, and right in the middle at Columbia.
Do you need me to renegotiate?
And see, now you sound fine, but you were in and out when we were on the air.
I have no idea. Stupid. I think when there's stuff playing in my ear, it's when it sounds bad. I guess I don't know. When there's stuff coming back to me is when it sounds bad, but when there's nothing playing towards me, it sounds fine.
Oh yeah.
But whatever.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, as we continue here from Clemson as well as Coastal Carolina and Columbia. We had a chance to take in a little bit of Clemson practice earlier today, the final practice of fall camp, and obviously got to see a little bit of the Clemson offense. Didn't get to see them do much against any competition. All of the plays they ran came against Air, so we really didn't get to see them get really defensed, if you will. The only 11-on-11 work we got was during the kickoff drill. I heard earlier from Kelly Bryant, and again, all our interviews online at SportsTalkSC.com, where we have an interview with Kelly Bryant, an interview with Tavian Feaster, and right now, our interview with Hunter Renfrow, who at wide receiver continues to make sure that everybody is on the same page with a very crowded wide receiver room.
One of the things that Coach Scott said after one of the scrimmages is that he could see 9 different guys playing receiver. How much does that kind of make you salivate, but also kind of put the pressure on and make sure that you make the most of every rep?
Yeah, for sure. It takes the pressure off of everyone, because I guess it adds a little more pressure, because if you don't perform, you're going to get outplayed. But you can go 100% that rep and know that, all right, if I come out, then someone else is going to go back in and do a great job. So you don't coast. You don't kind of take your foot off the pedal. So I like it from that aspect.
Does it make it different with the fact that you've had to rotate 3 different guys in and catch balls from 3 different guys? Has that made it difficult?
Not really, because all 3 do a great job of they all know the system. They all know where the ball needs to go. And it's our job to run the route. It's their job to get us the ball. So,
what has differentiated this year from years past, if anything, in camp?
Each year is a different obstacle and a different kind of storyline. This has been a good camp. I feel like it's been shorter. Maybe with the new NCAA rules, I guess we had a couple practice shorter, but it's been good. But something different about this team. I know the storyline is the defense. Usually it's the offense since I've been here. But we like that as an offense, and we're excited to prove some people wrong.
I just asked Isaiah, I said, is there one freshman this caught your eye in camp? And he said Justin Ross.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, Justin and DK, but Justin's done an unbelievable job. He's a lot like T as far as how big he is and go get balls downfield.
I just reconnected.
But
hello.
When we recruit well, every guy we put out there as a freshman does pretty good.
Is there one play besides the catch in Death Valley where Justin's kind of wowed you a little bit?
I mean, I think he's a lot like Mike, where he makes so many of them that you just kind of forget. And so I think he does a good job of making us forget about one specific catch.
What do you think your game has taken its biggest leap?
I think just my knowledge of the game. Sometimes I can feel myself playing a little slower because I'm trying to think what the safety structure is doing. So I got to improve in that aspect, playing faster. But just the overall knowledge of the game, not only what kind of the safeties are doing, but what we're trying to accomplish with an offense, when we're protected from the offensive line, and when I need to who I need to let know who's blitzing, whether it's the tackle or running back or quarterback. Just overall knowledge, because the more you know, the faster you can play.
Is there a particular guy you've kind of taken under your wing as far as whether it's on the young guys or even either of the freshmen?
I mean, one of my good friends is Will Sweeney, and he's had a phenomenal camp. He really has. If you ask anybody, I'm not just saying that. He's done a great job. And so I try to help him, and he comes and he helps me with releases and just rerouting people. He's taught me a lot this camp. So.
Not just because he's the coach's son.
No, not at all. Just because he's a cool guy.
It's Trevor. It's Hunter Renfrow, rather, from the Clemson wide receiving core. And I tell you what, that's one position where they don't need any help at, guys.
Yeah. Well, first of all, he doesn't need to suck up to the head coach by praising his son. I mean, my goodness, he's probably the most popular player on the team.
True.
Besides Trevor Lawrence. I mean, I guess Trevor Lawrence is probably the guy that gets the most attention from everybody because he's been so hyped, though others deserve it more than he does at this point. Now, eventually that may change, and he may be worthy of that kind of praise and adulation, but nobody loves Hunter Renfrow more than the Clemson people for what he has done, and what a remarkable, as he leaves after this season and goes on to the NFL, as he no doubt will, what a remarkable story to come from absolutely nowhere as a walk-on and be a contributor all 4 seasons, and of course make the catch in the national championship game and have such a good postseason against Alabama in 3 meetings. It's quite a story from a guy from this part of the state. Say what?
They hate him there.
At Alabama, of course they do, because he's killed him so many different ways. Let's remind everybody, too, while Justin Ross did have the wonderful eye-popping one-handed catch in practice at Clemson, apparently Josh Vann did the same thing at South Carolina, had some amazing one-handed catch. The difference is that his didn't make it on to Sports Center, and Justin Ross's did. So South Carolina's got to get that video out so people can see it. Has anybody seen it? Has that catch been on video anywhere?
No, I have not seen it.
I've heard about it. I've read about it. I think that Muschamp talked about it. Say what?
The Josh Vann one was in a Justin King melt a couple days ago.
Oh, okay. Did it make it to the national networks?
I don't think so.
I think they would prefer to see that catch maybe sometime during September 8th.
Probably so. Hey, our poll question of the week on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, talking about South Carolina. As camp concludes, the position of greatest concern at USC is, and most people say it's the safety position. Second most biggest concern is the offensive line, and third most is a place kicker. I like to look at the entries that readers have added to the list. A few in here have put quarterback on the list. Okay. Exactly. Somebody put sports talk on here. Just keep something with Clemson football. Okay, thank you. One person put coach. Another person put the whole team. Another person put coaching. So
that's why you don't. That's why you don't open it up, guys. Come on.
I wanted people to have a chance to express their opinions, and more than just the positions that I laid out there. But in all seriousness, offensive line, safety, I think safety more than offensive line. But maybe with the emergence of J.C. Horn at corner, the way he has come on in practice and played extremely well, has allowed them to move Harvey to the safety spot. And maybe you're not weakening a spot by moving a guy to another spot. So maybe you're strengthening two spots there.
Well, the one thing that when I look at what Muschamp and Tavares Robinson have done in their first 2 years, if they've taken almost no depth at all in the secondary and made it work, the concern with me with the offensive line is not the talent. The concern with me is what kind of depth do you have, especially with the young guys, and when you're playing at a faster tempo in many occasions, how will they hold up, especially early on in the heat, and those young guys have to come in and spell them?
There's depth concerns all over the field for South Carolina, whether you look at the offensive line, whether you look at what's going on in the defensive tackle position, obviously the safety position, and even at corner.
But
when you think about their top 22, their top 22 are pretty legit. It's whether or not they can go to the second group with all those guys and actually give the same kind of effort and output.
By the way, going back to the early part of the show, that quarterback who none of us could remember, Matthew Stafford, plays for the Lions, played at Georgia. Pro, I am shocked that you did not mention Asia Wilson as the WNBA Rookie of the Year.
Because it was a foregone conclusion.
But it was announced today. I'm surprised you didn't bring that to our attention.
No, why?
That's why we employ you. You are employed to bring up things like that.
No, you bring it up
every month.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it was a foregone conclusion.
Well, she had a great year, and she certainly deserves it. One of the great rookie seasons in all of the history of the WNBA. So we congratulate her on that. Any final thoughts from the upstate there, Will?
I'm going to maybe hit up the Epic Buffet on the way down, so that'll be good for you.
Well, everybody clear out over there in Simpsonville because there's a big gust of wind heading your way. So look out for it. You have a safe trip back. Pro, have a great night. Thank you, Brian. Great job. Thanks to everybody here at Coastal, Coach Moglia, the players, and from the SID office, Daryl Oren. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.